What's the worst thing your parents caught you doing as a kid? When we were about 6 years old, me and a friend were having a contest seeing who could pee the furthest out the third-story window. Some nosy lady from across the street ratted us out to his parents. I still think I won, but we didn't get a chance to check who peed the furthest. When I was about 6, I was watching an episode of Pokemon. I had to pee, but didn't want to miss anything, so I peed in a trash can. I thought that was super clever at the time, but as soon as my mom got home she could smell it, and 21 years later she still remembers. My mom got 5-year-old me one of those giant novelty suckers that came with a pretty sturdy wooden handle. I decided to test the strength of the stick by pushing it against my bedroom wall as hard as possible. Such a strong stick. Dad walked in just as I poked a 6-inch hole in the drywall. My little sister had fallen asleep with her sucker the day before and got the whole thing stuck in her hair. No more giant suckers. Not me, but they caught my 3-year-old sister eating chips in a small dark closet at 3 a.m. Did I mention she was also naked? Mopping/painting the garage floor with oil and destroying a waterbed with steak knives. My brother and I were both under the age of 5 when these things happened. He's older than me by about 1.5 years and made other horrendous messes before I could start participating in them, including opening all the Kool-Aid packets onto the kitchen floor and emptying an entire can of Crisco onto the bottom few steps in the house. He was bad. Our younger brother is 6 years younger than me and was way worse in the mess department. He threw all my bottles of nail polish all over my room and destroyed most of my stuff, so I wasn't allowed to have any more. He cut up most of our pictures from when we were kids. Remember when you could refill your own ink cartridges at home with a kit? He sprayed a whole pack of that stuff all over the living room, including the ceiling. Ruined the carpet completely. When my sister was 3, she was caught hiding behind a trash can eating butter after we specifically told her not to. 2 memories come to mind. The first one was when I was 6 or so. I was a fairly curious child, and one day I took a giant poop. After I cleaned up, I decided to get a pair of gloves and dissect my poop to see what all was in it. My mom caught me and gave me hell about it all the way through adulthood. The second was when I had my first serious boyfriend over. I was 16 and my sister was 3 or 4. Being a little kid, she always wanted to come into my room. My curious little sister was the only reason I was allowed to close my bedroom door when he was over. My boyfriend and I decided to fool around and pushed my beanbag in front of the door to slow down any intruders. Well, I wind up on my knees with his dick in my mouth, and lo and behold, here comes my mom opening the door. She couldn't get the door opened all the way, but she saw enough. The next morning, when she was driving me to school, she said very awkwardly, "Honey, please don't put your beanbag in front of the door anymore." Peeing and pooping in odd places. I pooped in my little sister's toy washing machine, and I pooped in the trunk of her toy Barbie Corvette. Also, kids, if you want to blame the dog for peeing on the carpet, you need to make sure it's like a solid puddle instead of loop-the-loops. Rookie mistake. My best friend's mom caught us spanking each other's bare asses. That was fun. I bought a VHS video camera. Saved up money for so long to buy it from a dirty wee second-hand shop. I came home one day to find my mum had been and still was recording episodes of daytime TV shite over my hours and hours and hours of masturbatory action. No word spoken. Ever. Told my mom I was going into the woods to build a fort. I went into the woods, but brought my Game Boy, which I was grounded from, and a supply of batteries. Played Pokemon out there for several hours next to a tree, until my mom came out into the woods and found me. Big trouble for me. When I was 4, my parents were trying to potty train me, and they made me go around the house naked from the waist down, so I had to use the toilet. I shit on the floor, hid it under the couch, when my parents walked in, and blamed it on the cats. We didn't even have cats. Not me, but my best friend growing up. We found some porno mags in a field behind his house that he took home. When he would take a shower, he would cut out images of the girls, stick them to the inside of the shower, and do the deed, then flush the pic. Eventually he had a porno mag consisting of all men, with the women all cut out. Needless to say, his dad found them, and thought he was gay for a few years, before talking with him about it. OMG, thanks for the gold, kind stranger. One time my mother walked in on my girlfriend and I having sex, to tell me that my father cut his finger off, and that they were going to hospital. There was a lot to unpack in that moment. In female. When I was 4, my mom caught me trying to sit backwards on the toilet. When I was 37, she walked in my room and found me passed out mid-masturbation with porn playing. She turned off the porn. Thanks, Mom. Not the worst, but the most frustrating. I was at that age when I really wanted to color on the walls, but knew better. I knew I would get in trouble if I wrote my name, so I wrote my sister's. LPT when trying to frame someone, make sure they are capable to do that which you are framing them for. Turns out my parents didn't believe my 2-year-old sister could write her name yet. I have a seriously distinct memory of this, despite being so young, so bear with me. I'd say I was around maybe 34 years old. Someone left a turd in the toilet and I remember thinking it looked distinctly pickle shaped, so in my young child mind I thought, hey, a pickle, and went to grab it out of the toilet. I realized it wasn't a pickle when it squished between my fingers and my mom saw the excrement on my hands. She never brought it up to me when I was older, however. I don't know why, but as a kid I would put my hand in my pants, because it felt warm in there, not for any other reason. It happened unintentionally sometimes. One morning I woke up to my parents looking at me concerned. I was confused, until I looked down. As you can guess, my hand was in my pants, and I immediately took them out. My parents were crying laughing, but I was so embarrassed. That night my mom gave me the talk. I heard the funniest story from my friend's mom. Apparently she always loved to get her mom's purse and empty the content, and play with whatever was in there. Her interest was mostly her mom's lipstick and makeup. Like every other little girl. Once when they had just come back from a family trip, she opens the purse and finds a condom. She has no idea what it is. She opens it, and thinks it's a balloon and starts blowing it. Mom comes to the room, condom in her mouth trying to blow it, and she turns around and asks her mom why is a balloon so oily. Lol, it was obviously lubricated. Her mom snatches the condom off her hands and gets super angry, gives her a timeout, and forbids her from ever touching her purse again. She said it was not until she was in her 20s that she remembered the memory and realized what that balloon was. Lol. So I was around 14 yo. I had just discovered porn on the internet, and was home alone. Thing is, the only computer we had in the house was in the living room, and the living room was right in your face, as soon as you would enter the house from the main entrance. So I was doing my stuff, when I heard the key plays in the lock outside the door. I did not have time to put my pants all the way back up. My whole family entered the room, to see me stare at nothing else than the window home screen. In complete panic I stood up, and my pants almost fell off. I grabbed them right in time for my mom to ask me, WTF are you doing? In panic I just brushed it off, and said these pants are way too big, I think I need new belts. A few days later I was shopping with my mom for new belts. I kept telling myself they bought my story, but now that I'm older, I just know they knew, and it haunts me to this day. When I was about 7 or 8 I accidentally left the lid off of our dog food outside, and it ended up raining that night. A couple days later it was infested with maggots. I didn't know how to kill bugs, so products I deemed as harsh or dangerous went into the dog food maggot soup. They had doubled by the next day, so I figured I'll burn them out. Poured some fuel for our weed whacker in, and lit it up. The first initial flame was pretty impressive in size, but it scared me, so I grabbed our hose and sprayed it down. Within a week it was bubbling in its own, and hanging outside. Plants close to it stated to die. I eventually tried to move it. My mom came out, saw me trying to move it, and smelled the terrible concoction, and decided to call the fire department. IDK if they misunderstood or thought it was currently on fire, but they sent 2 fire trucks, 4 cop cars, then guys in full body suits. They shut down our whole block for hours. First they thought we were trying to build a meth lab, then a bomb or something. I broke down and confessed everything to one of the officers. Thinking for sure I was going to jail, I apologized to my mom, hugged my dog, and gave her my favorite toy. Instead I got a firm talking to by several adults, and I guess they had to take my toxic poison mixture in the middle of nowhere and bury it. I was in trouble for so long, and it became a funny story to tell. Play chemicals, kids. Thank you for watching. Please consider giving this video a like, and remember to subscribe, and hit that bell button, as we add new Reddit readouts every day. See you next time. Bye.